Hello, biology. I hope you're well. No Google Meet today and no experiment today. We need to let our bacteria grow and cultivate for a longer period of time. Normally takes at least 5 days, so it's only been a couple. So we need to leave it all weekend. Don't forget to keep your agar and bacteria in a warm place, but not too hot, or the gelatin will melt. But we want to keep it quite as warm as possible, so maybe warm, but not in direct sunlight. Okay, so a warm place. But today we are going to continue talking about the subject. So we've been cultivating bacteria, and bacteria are single-celled organisms. Yesterday we looked at the structure of animal and plant cells, and now we're going to look at the function. So let's go. So cells can be divided into two types, okay? Eukaryotes and prokaryotes. There is a third type called archaea, which are a type of cell which are billions of years old, not very common anymore. But the common ones we have today are eukaryotes and prokaryotes, okay? Now, your eukaryotes are your animal cells and your plant cells, and your prokaryotes are your bacteria, okay? So our experiment is about prokaryotes, but yesterday's class and today we're going to continue talking about eukaryotes, okay? So before we begin, I just want to let you know that this is an animal and a plant cell. Cells are very, very tiny, but very, very complex. They have many things inside, and these things are called organelles. Okay? Organelles. Like in your body, you have organs, heart, lungs, liver. In a cell, they have organelles. And cells have many, many organelles, all doing different things. Okay? So I just want to show you this is what an animal and plant cell actually looks like. But what we will be looking at today is a more simplified version. So you do not need to learn all of these, but I do want to let you know that this is what they actually look like. So we're going to start with our animal cell, and there are four parts that I want us to look at, okay? So the first one is the nucleus, which is this large piece here. So the nucleus regulates growth and metabolism. That means it controls how much the cell grows, and it controls metabolism. So like how much, what materials it uses, it utilizes, how much energy it produces. It's kind of like the heart. It controls everything in the cell. And DNA is stored inside of the nucleus, okay? So our next one is the cell membrane, okay, which is this like green line which surrounds the cell. So the cell membrane separates what is inside the cell and outside, okay? And it can control what can enter and exit the cell. If you look at these little blue things, these are proteins, and these proteins have like holes, and they can control what can enter and what can exit the cell. So our next one we're going to look at is the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is like a jelly inside of the cell, okay? And it holds the organelles in position. If you think of all these organelles, they are not moving around, okay? They are actually in a special place, okay? And they stay still. And the reason why they stay still is this cytoplasm. Think about when you're making jelly, and if you put some fruit in the jelly, the fruit gets stuck, doesn't it? And it stays there. It cannot move around the jelly. Well, the cytoplasm is the same thing. It's like a jelly, and it maintains the position of all of the organelles. Our final one is mitochondria. Now, mitochondria might be, this and the nucleus are possibly the most important parts of the cell. So let's look at the mitochondria, this little pink thing. So the mitochondria produces ATP. Maybe some of you remember when we spoke about this a few weeks ago, when we spoke about respiration. So ATP is a molecule which releases energy. All cellular functions require energy, so the cell needs a lot of ATP. In your body, whenever you move a muscle, whenever you breathe, anything inside your body needs ATP, okay? And it's the mitochondria which produce this ATP, okay? So all of your energy needs come from the mitochondria. Now, the mitochondria make this energy, this ATP, using glucose and oxygen, okay? So the glucose in the food that we eat and oxygen in the air that we breathe produces ATP, or energy. So now we're going to look at plant cells, okay? Now, in the animal cell, we only saw 4 different organelles. Now, plant cells have 7, but 4 are very similar to animal cells. Cytoplasm, nucleus, cell membrane, and mitochondria, well, they are in animal cells and plant cells, and they do the same things, okay? So if you look at what we did before, they have the same functions in animal cells and plant cells, okay? However, we're going to look at 3 more organelles which are only in plant cells. And the first one is the cell wall. So the cell wall, I just want to show you here, you have your cell membrane, which is like inside. So this line here on the inside, and then the cell wall is this like yellow layer, okay? So the cell wall, it's important for keeping the shape of the plant cell, okay? So an animal cell is kind of flexible, the shape, okay? But a plant cell, it's not flexible, the shape, it's very rigid, okay? And it always stays in this kind of rectangular shape. So a cell wall is to maintain the shape of the plant cell. Our next one is our vacuole, which is this really, really big grey thing here, even bigger than a nucleus. Big grey thing here. What's that for? So plant cells have a large vacuole, okay? Animal cells actually do have one, but it's very, very small. Plant cells have a big one. And the large vacuole is used to store water or waste, okay? So the water might be used later, maybe by the mitochondria, for example. And waste are products made by the cell which are no longer required. Maybe something like, I don't know, if it's a plant cell, maybe something like oxygen. The plant cell doesn't need oxygen, it's going to release it. So maybe it will stay in the vacuole, and then when it's ready to leave the cell, it will be transported out of the cell, across the cell membrane, out of the cell wall. Okay, so the vacuole is a storage, like a big bucket to store water and waste. Our final part of the plant cell is the chloroplast. This is probably the most important part of the plant cell. Okay, so let's look at this, the chloroplast, this green thing here. So the chloroplast, it absorbs sunlight, and photosynthesis actually happens here. So when we say plants do photosynthesis, the sunlight goes into the leaf and it goes into the cell and it goes into the chloroplast, this green thing here, or these green things. Plants have many chloroplasts. So the photosynthesis happens here in the chloroplast. So photosynthesis uses light energy from the sun, carbon dioxide, and water to make oxygen and glucose, okay? So that is photosynthesis, and it happens in the chloroplast. So that is the end of our organelles. So what I would like you to do, on Google Classroom, you'll see you have the same worksheet as yesterday. Now, yesterday, you only wrote the name of the organelle. Today, I want you to write the name and the function. So that's the name of the organelle, for example, nucleus, and then the function, store DNA, or DNA inside, okay? Another one could be, I don't know, chloroplast, photosynthesis happens here, okay? So you've got to write the name of the organelle and the function. When you've finished, I want you to upload your worksheet to Google Classroom so I can check them. That is the end of this video. I will be online for the rest of the hour, and I look forward to marking your work. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.